Hello, and welcome to Champion Your Culture, the podcast where we dive deep into the heart of leadership and organizational culture. I'm Ryan McCarty.
And I'm George Rogers. Together, we're here to guide you on a journey of personal and professional growth. Every week, we bring you insights, stories, and strategies to help you and your company thrive in today's dynamic world.
So whether you're leading a team, running a business, or just eager to make a positive impact, you are in the right place. Let's jump right into today's show and champion a culture of purpose and passion. Welcome to Champion Your Culture. George, what's up, man?
Good morning. Good morning. How are you? I feel like I just woke up. I know. Yeah. I just feel like I just woke up though, like food comas. And...
You did. One of those nap pods that we have.
Yeah, the nap pods are good. You know,
yeah.
Thankful for.
I've actually seen
the bean bags.
I've seen employees like taking naps on the bean bags for sure.
They need to. You know, in other countries, they recommend, and even in some workplaces, they recommend that 30, sometimes a 15 to 30 minute
siesta.
Nap.
Oh yeah, because you get back up and you're just like energized. You're ready to go, like ready to perform. It's interesting that though we're taking naps to perform better at work rather than to rest.
Yeah,
it's a kind of an interesting dynamic where it's like, no, you should really take care of yourself. It's not about taking a nap so you can perform better, although that does help. Yeah. I'm sure.
You know, if I take too long of a nap though, then I feel like I have to start my whole routine over. Like I gotta go to the bathroom, gotta shower.
Yeah. What's the cutoff from a nap to I was sleeping?
I think anything like past 31 minutes.
31?
Yeah. 29 and 31 is that minute where you're gone.
Yeah.
And if you don't have an alarm, you're probably going to be going a little bit longer.
Yeah. I've seen some people sleeping in those beanbag chairs around the office, And I would say this, like a lot of companies were like, well, culture's not ping pong tables or beanbags, and it's not.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you get rid of that stuff.
It may not be the culture, but it could be, hey, how are we providing the well-being?
Yeah. Exactly. Like our slide that's over here, that's well-being define the culture,
that's mental health for me.
Going down the slide.
Yeah, it's just like let it go.
You hit the bottom.
Yeah, until you hit the bottom. Yeah, if you don't have the brakes ready, man, whatever shoes you got on,
your bottom.
Yeah,
I went flying,
it's
man.
Bottom on bottom. So the slide is something
you can't
intense.
wear those slick dress pants because I've done that before. I came in, I was speaking somewhere, and I had those pants on, and I went down that slide, man, and it's like shooting a rocket. I was gone, man.
You're in the fishboard room.
I was flying. Well, I'm glad to be back because I spent some time in Mexico. That was beautiful. Got my little, tan going on. I feel red today though. Well, I went to the gym and I was working out and I feel overheated. I'm still overheated.
Still overheated?
Oh man, I'm overheated, man.
Yeah. That's a good thing though.
I feel like I'm burning up and I'm drinking hot coffee.
Yeah, that doesn't help. It doesn't help. But we are in a nice cozy room.
It is cool.
Thankful that it's freezing.
The studio, it is freezing.
It is freezing today, and I like it cold.
Yeah,
I like it cold, but it's been good. You were in Mexico the last couple of weeks. I had the opportunity to be in Vegas.
Yeah. Talk about that.
And Unleash. So shout out to the Unleash team. I was very fortunate to be able to MC the main stage there. I had a great opportunity. Met a lot of great speakers.
Who'd you interview? Go ahead, and brag. Let it out, man. Brag. You're headed toward it. Just there. Just say it if you're gonna say it.
Shout out to Magic Johnson. He was he's a legend. I grew up watching him and being an inner city kid from Lansing, Michigan.
Yeah.
You see how I said it? You were almost going to get me to say that state, but it ain't happening. Football season, it's under 100 days. Buckeyes are coming back.
Michigan.
And, Michigan. No, but I've been around a lot of people, wealthy people. And I have seen some pridefulness. I've seen some very meek and humility, clothed type people. And humbly, Magic Johnson was just that guy. He was real.
Yeah.
He said some things to me that I'll take behind stage that I'll take with me for the rest of my life. It was very encouraging. So that was a great opportunity.
That's awesome.
We were supposed to sit down on the couch. He's like me. He was in the crowd. And I loved it. We got to stand in front of the crowd, walk around the crowd. and just have a conversation. It was very cool. So shout out to Unleash, shout out to Mark Coleman.
That's fun.
Abby, all those great people. Paula, I'm gonna start naming them all, and I ain't gonna remember them all, but shout out.
You've been working. I went on vacation. You've been working because then you went. Then I went to for UKG.
UKG. Shout out to Alina Roth, Julie, and Chaz.
Chaz, man, that's a whole story.
Yeah,
we're gonna get into someday. But
we're gonna have them on here in the next month or two. On the podcast. But yeah, it was great. UKG is always a great time. They put on great events, and they're wonderful people. They take care of their people.
Yeah,
their purpose is people, and they show that in how they treat their people, and specifically their speakers. So really was honored to go there down in Hollywood, Florida. I worked on my tan, got me a little massage, a little mani-pedi. So I had a little relaxation as well while I was on there. An awesome hotel and venue that they had. And so shout out to the UKG team. They were phenomenal.
That's one of my favorite things, because a lot of times when I travel with Qatar and stuff, we stay in decent places, but when I go speak, they always put you in a really nice spot.
It's hard to come home.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I'm over here like, hey, can we do another event? Like, what's the next event?
Like in a couple weeks.
Alina, call me.
No, but that is something that I think people need to be aware of is, there is a power in a presentation and in a message and sparking thoughts and ideas around what we're talking about even today, around like having a company cause and how to motivate employees around that. Like when you think about motivation, we sometimes would call a keynote speaker like a motivational speaker, right? So like there is a inspirational, I kind of like the motivational because it feels like movement too. It's like I want to inspire, but I also want to motivate. I want people leaving the presentation with the sense of like, oh, I'm going to start implementing some of that stuff and just trying it out and experimenting with it. And I think that's the idea with everything we're doing is like when we go out to keynote, when we do workshops, and when we begin to implementing anything that we do in companies, right? It's all an experiment. That's really leadership within the context of work or anywhere else. Leaders are experimenting. We're learning as we act, right? We have a plan, we have a strategy, but we learn along the way, which means as we learn, we adjust, we maneuver based on what we learn. So essentially we're experimenting with these ideas, what's working, what's not working. I would say what's not working is toxic cultures where, you have a boss that's a micromanager, and it causes angst, and fear in the work. That doesn't work, right? But leadership with a heart and bringing your soul to work, like we talk about almost every week, it's like that works. Yeah, it works. And so keep working it, and I know though, sometimes we get into, we talked about it yesterday, a skilled incompetence where things that don't work, we keep doing them because we think it's the right thing to do, when in the end, it actually impacts and affects the team and the company in negative ways. Like, for instance, if you do have a leader that's a micromanager, they may be thinking, I need to have my finger on everybody, because that's how I was taught how to lead. And they have a skilled incompetence and they're like got their finger on everybody. It just doesn't work. So the question is like, what's working within the workplace right now, and how do we emphasize that in our messaging? When you go out to do a keynote, that's part of your messaging. I think that matters. I think what we say and the narrative that we talk about impacts the environment and how people engage with us on a daily basis. I agree. Anyway, that's my soapbox for the day. I'm done. Podcast over.
That's great. So as we're talking about this and we dive into this conversation, the really fun and the calls within the workplace that helps you really define what I like to look at it as is creating that motion for me. What's creating this motion that allows us to really have a sense of purpose as employees, right? We're creating that meaningful workplace culture to where individually I now have a sense of why I'm doing something. Right? There's a purpose behind it. Let's talk about this cause thing as we open up. One, explaining what a cause is. Because most people may define it a little bit different. Most people may say, hey, we don't even have a cause. We have all these other things
Yeah, they'll have like a mission statement.
Yeah, they have core values and things, but what is a cause?
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, it's more defined. I would say it's the mission of your culture. It's a mission of everybody collectively. It goes beyond a statement, but it can have a statement. It's your force for good. Yeah. That's what it is. What is the driving force of good internally and externally as a business? Why are we in business? It defines your cause, defines your why. It allows, in terms of what the cause is, it's your why, that's your force for good. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So when we talk about teaching for-profit companies how to operate with the soul of a nonprofit, what we're saying is that soul, you talked about it being like movement, right? Where we have movement and we have motion. But I would say we need to add an adjective to that, and that is common movement. Common motion, right? What is common among everybody? Because we talk about culture being how most people feel, believe, and behave most of the time. So your cause gives everyone a common mission. Common, you know what I'm saying? Where it's not just a mission statement that is written on a wall and it serves to motivate, I think, maybe the executives when they wrote it the first day, but it really never becomes the driving force. Like what's moving us forward in a common way? What's creating that galvanizing moment within the organization where everybody collectively comes together around a common cause? So when we talk about a cause, it's the force for good that everybody feels, believes, and behaves based on that. So that's your force for good. And not a lot of people have, not a lot of companies have that.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think separates those? Because that's another question for those. Why do we need this? What's the separation for those who have it and don't have it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. What's the separate what's the for those companies that don't have a cause?
They don't have a cause. Obviously we're saying this. It's business as a force for good. For those who are listening, saying, what does that mean? And what's the
I would say that
one? How does that?
Yeah, I would say if a cause motivates team members, if a cause connects team members, if having a common cause and a force for good gives employees a reason to show up for more than a paycheck or to make money for the business. Mm-hmm. Then I would say without a cause, you have to find ways of curating that without having that intrinsic purpose-driven motivator. A cause is very purpose-driven. So essentially, the companies that wouldn't have a cause, a defined cause, and a cause that is how the business defines how they make decisions and how they operationalize kind of the soul of the business. If you don't have that, then the question is, how are employees motivated? How are they engaged? What are they engaging around? Yeah. What are they connecting to? We're asking employees to be engaged. Yeah. Engage with us. We'll engage with you. What does that even mean? And what are we asking them to engage with? When you have a cause, then you have something that speaks to the culture. It speaks to what we're all doing here every single day, aside from making the company and the CEO more money. Yeah. Like that defines work in a different way for employees. So I would say, the differentiator is the cause, because it gives companies the opportunity to motivate their employees, where employees feel connected and motivated because of that. If you don't, you feel disconnected and unmotivated, right? So So it really then defining it, the first thing is that the impact that it does from an employee engagement standpoint, from that motivator factor. Yeah. The why I wake up to do what I do, beyond a paycheck. Because people don't get engaged individually, they get engaged together. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? It's a common thing. The cause allows us to be engaged. You're not going to be engaged at work if all of your team members are not. Right. So engagement's not how do we get George engaged. Engagement is how do we engage all of us together collectively. That's true engagement.
Yeah, and I think you always say this, and I think it's important. for leaders, it starts there, right? We have to embody what we're expecting. That's the whole inspect what you expect. If we don't embody that engagement,
they'll never embrace it.
Desire that and then embrace that, and find ourselves using that same cause as a motivating factor to connect with our employees and our team members. We can't expect them to have a sense of engagement.
We've seen that before,
right? Where we're expecting people to be engaged, but yet the leaders is not engaged. The leader's door is always shut, right? And the employees are, hey, y'all mingle together.
I had a conversation with somebody about this yesterday. Yeah.
And so it's very important to get there. So what we're saying, this cause then becomes a centerpiece or the beginning piece of what employee engagement is before employees can be fulfilled, because everybody wants to jump to how do we get everybody all in and how do we get our employees loving what they do.
And
it first starts with a power of connection. How are we connecting? The cause is the connecting piece. That first step is how do we get them engaged? Before they can become efficient, effective, and engaged, they must first be connected with the cause.
Yeah, it's one of our promises, our promise to care about people in the world around us. Well, that's the part of the scope of work in terms of where work is headed, more robotics, automation, AI. The care part, the soul part, is a part that is always going to be a conversation that we are always asking or challenging leaders to point back to, because obviously we're dehumanizing the work experience the more we automate the work experience. And so how do we rehumanize the work experience, and how do we re-engage? Because you know it as well as I do, it's easier to paint a rosy picture of the workplace and engage a new hire than it is to engage an employee that's been around for 5 or 6 years. Right. Well, how do people stay engaged? That's the key, because if you don't have people staying engaged, people that you're wanting to engage at your hiring are going to feel it when they get into the culture. But when you get hired into a workplace where people have been working there 5, 10, 15 years, like we walk around here at the Huddle, TCC, some of the employees 20 years, and they're highly engaged in their work. They believe in the purpose. Not everybody. It's not perfect, right? But we as I get engaged and I see others with their heart and passion toward what's going on, that makes the difference for me. So yeah, I think I do. I think defining your cause is not only the first step, but I think it's a part of every step of engagement. I think the cause, in terms of how we continue to communicate with employees, how we have meetings, and how all of that should be, the force for good should be a part of everything that we're doing within the workplace. And to your point, if leadership doesn't show up, if they're not coming to those events and opportunities to give back, that's connected to the cause, if they're not actively connecting internally with employees, as you said, their doors closed, right? Like that's the opposite of what we're talking about here. A cause gives everyone an opportunity to do this. Like, what are you bringing your soul to work for if there's no purpose at work? I would keep it at home.
Right.
If all I do at work is do my task list so I can get a paycheck every couple weeks, then I'll never get to this point. But if that workplace is purpose-driven, if the leaders are purpose-driven leaders, if they're value-based leaders, like they live the values, right? And they show up around a cause and they're actively involved in connecting and being a part of it, people see that. Right? They see those tenured employees that have been around for a while. They may not be executives, but they've been around for 10 years, right? 15 years. They watch I would watch those employees. Right. If you want to know the culture of a business, ask people I've been around for 10, 15 years. Don't ask people that just got hired.
They've been experienced.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen some hires. They're excited, man. They get the lunch. They get the date.
Qatar knows me. I've been married 27 years. I can't fake the funk. You know what I'm saying? I can say, oh, yeah, I'm this way. And then you ask Qatar, he's like, oh, hell, he's lying to you. Right?
Right. That's true.
I mean,
we're that way for sure in all aspects of life. So we have this cause. We've created a cause. We're for some, the cause is doing good in their local community. Maybe there's inner city. TCC does it. Their calls, one of their big calls is the backpack giveaway.
Yeah.
Something that's coming up. I already hear people talking about it. Yesterday.
Yeah.
Starting to ramp up that conversation of, hey, July is right around. Kids just got out of school last week.
I know,
and they're already talking about 2 months in advance.
It's wild.
Which is crazy. So creating that cause allows you to realize, in the grand scheme of things, man, I'm working towards something. The harder we work, the more we sell, the more we're able to give. The more we're able to give, the more I am able to be a part of something that I am passionate about doing as well, right? And so that cause has different levels to it. Not having that cause forfeits you, in a sense, in my opinion. I don't want to say an easy way, but a simple way of connecting people. From being disengaged. A simple way, not having a cause does not help you try to improve something that's lacking in a lot of companies. And I've seen it and heard it even recently as yesterday, where we have, our team is dysfunctional. And it's this department's fault and that department's fault. And there's no sense of unity. And we're saying creating a cause that's bigger than the company, that's beyond the individual. It's not about George or Ryan. It's not about your CEO. This is what we're going to do as we desire to grow as a company. We're going to give to this cause. We're going to make this impact together. So as we do good from a profit standpoint, we're going to be able to do more good. From a giving standpoint.
From what I hear you saying too, is the value of not just growing a company, but as you grow your company, you grow your culture. Because we've seen that too, where, Scott Moorhead always talks about, CEO of TCC and several other companies, that the greatest risk of a growing organization is they lose what made them special when they first started. When we were looking at the exponential growth of TCC, and a lot of companies that are out there going through, mergers, acquisitions, they're going through growth spurts, not every company's, getting smaller, right? So businesses are growing exponentially. And through that process, it reminds me of why we started Culture Good in his business, right? It was that if we keep growing the company, but we're not growing the culture, then we're going to lose the people, because the people make up the culture. And then the culture makes up the company. You see what I'm saying? So we can be doing everything that's right about making money and making greater profits. But if we're doing that at the expense of the culture and at the expense of people, then that's going to reap the wrong type of consequences and not the rewards we're looking for. Ultimately, what we want to do is we want to say, okay, as we're growing the company, we're also growing the people side of the business and the culture side of the business. Your cause is that motivating force, that force for good, that the reason why people do connect. Why am I connected with my team? It's not because I have the same hobbies that you might have. Now, if you have the same hobbies I do, maybe we go bowling every Thursday night. I'll connect around that. That's fine. But what purpose and a cause does, it gives everyone a common reason to join together. Not everybody likes bowling, but everybody likes to do good. Maybe not at first. Maybe they are kind of hesitant to give back and to do good. But once they get their hands involved and the team is giving back and doing good together, that gives everyone a reason to be committed. That commitment then translates to less turnover, higher engagement, greater performance. All the benefits of having a cause come because you didn't just have a cause as a part of your business. To your point, you had the cause as the core of it.
Right.
The cause becomes the core. If the cause is not the core, then what is the core? Right? What's the core? What's the core of the business? Why does the business exist? If it's just profitability, then what the culture is going to say to those that are coming in is we need you to perform. And it's all based on performance. Rather than it being based on the employees and the culture and empowering people to actually engage around something that they believe in and that they can commit to. And when they do that, guess what happens? Performance increases, engagement increases, turnover goes down. Why? Because people commit to it. We want people to have an owner's mentality. What we're saying is we want them to be passionate and committed about their work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Why in the world would anybody be passionate and committed about their work? That's the question. That's what we need to ask as leaders.
Yeah.
Why in the world are people committed and passionate about their work when they come to work here? Whatever your here is, whatever your workplace is, you know.
And that's a conversation that has to be had, right?
Yeah.
Because for most owners and C-suite, that answer may look different.
Yeah.
For all of them, not just as a leadership team, but as individuals, your reason why may be different than my reason why.
Yeah.
And we're saying this cause then becomes the core of our whys, our purpose.
That becomes from me to we.
It goes from me to we. Exactly. It becomes something that we center the core of our heartbeat in a sense.
Yeah.
To do that. What I love about the calls, and I've seen this, and we want to just briefly discuss real quickly. So if you want to know more about this, I'm excited.
Yeah.
In just a few weeks, we're kicking off here. June is
fast.
It comes fast, but
June 25th and 26th.
Yep, June 25th and 26th. We're going to be having our next cohort of 2-day certification. We're going to be certifying culture champions. And part of this certification, we go through this workshop, the calls.
We help you
walk you through. We help you find it. And so we've seen a lot of life, and I want to encourage those who are listening to look into this. You can visit culturegood.com for more information. We'll put it on the screen as well. We'll throw it in the chat. If you're watching live, we appreciate that. Or you're following us in the comments, we'll put that as well. But we're the core of this, the impact that I love and I bring up the 2-day certification because my favorite part of it is in that conversation of it goes then beyond just employees to, man, this impacts all stakeholders, right? This is this is stronger than just an entry level. This is bigger than just how do I get George, the frontline employee, to clap his hands and be excited about something. This goes beyond saying, Ryan, we want you to be involved in this so we can write a check. Yeah. This is not about a check being written. This is about your greatest ROI that I believe is time. How do we give our time, not just in our company, but outside of our company, and that relationship that it does with stakeholders. And I think about Wiley Metal. Yeah, we've seen very, very, very success. That was a weird, very, very success. We've seen a lot of success. Excuse my English. We've seen a lot of success. Yeah, and the impact of the stakeholders. From the top all the way down, it has spread it. From campus to campus. Right. We've seen it with Zealandia and Latour Group and their entities that they have there and what they're doing in North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Canada. They're doing it all over. And the stakeholders, from the leadership to the employees to the community and their clients, suppliers, people want to be a part of this thing. It becomes something bigger than just your company. Yeah. Can you talk about that? Because I get excited about it when we're talking about it because I see the outcomes. Yeah. Right. The foundation of this conversation is so beautiful. The best part though is how it becomes more than just you.
Yeah, it does impact everyone. It impacts the vendors, it impacts customers, all things being equal. If, you have two companies doing the same business in the same area, and I can choose to do business with one or the other, all things being equal in terms of services and product and everything else, I'm going to choose the business that has a heart. Yeah. Right. So when we think about brand loyalty, when we think about commitment, not just internal stakeholders, but also to your point, customers, vendors, we have our community, where we do business, we do good. So our neighbors, being a good citizen, that's part of the cause is having opportunities to give back and to do good and to feel something at work or through your work that's beyond just, the same paycheck with the 3% raise every year, or whatever it is. It's really about how do we embed purpose in what we do so that all stakeholders can find a sense of belonging with our workplace. When we think about where would I want to work? Would I want to work somewhere that, again, all things being equal, paycheck similar, benefits similar, but this one company of the two is purpose driven, and there's a cause and people believe in it and they show up to work and they're passionate. Well, where am I going to build a commitment and a connection to, like that's employees, but all, and it goes, into the community as well. Like, does it matter to you as a business, whether your community members and whether your neighbors see your business as a good business, as you being a good citizen, that you care? Does that matter? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And if it doesn't matter to the leadership, it's not going to matter to the business. And when it doesn't matter to the business, the impact of that is when we don't have a cause within the company that not only are our employees connected to, but our customers and vendors and all stakeholders, our community, we lack trust, right? There's, we hear about it all the time. How do you build a culture of trust? How do you build a culture of trust? And I think having a cause that people see you have a good heart, and even though you may not make all the best business decisions in the world, when you have a cause that people are committed to and people will get behind and connect to and stay connected and engaged with, what that allows for is a level of trust through the good and the bad times of business. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like the way that you not only survive those difficult times, but you thrive through them, is you have that common cause that becomes a North Star where all the stakeholders can point to and say, even though we're dealing with all of this, and both internally, maybe externally, we all know why we're in this business. Yeah. I mean, we're doing it together.
Yeah. I think that you talked about trust and that aspect. And I think about some of the companies that have grown in their communities.
Yeah.
Because one of the things we always tell people is in that storytelling.
Yeah.
Right. Tell your story. Everybody has a story. Tell that story, because there's somebody that may need you.
Yeah.
Because the calls that you have may align with them. Or, hey, I had a family member that was going through something. We have, calls this here, and we have groups here that are doing things in the cancer area, right?
Yeah.
Your sister has a team that she's doing things with with brain injuries and things of that nature. Everybody has certain things that if you just tell your story, man, it's so much greater. And I've seen organizations create a level of trust within their communities,
right,
through their calls.
Yeah.
Where it's like, man, they're not just making money just to make money and build profits. Now, that's the number one rule in business. We always say that the number one rule in business is to stay in business, because if you don't do number one, there is no other rules. Right. But when your calls bleeds into the relationship of your stakeholders, and we talk about how do we create buy-in, how do we create people that want to be a part of something, that calls does that. And what that calls tends to do, it says, man, it's more than the profits. I trust them with my time. I trust them with my money.
There you go.
And we see people wanting to not just do good, but do more.
Yeah.
Good. Right. Yeah. It becomes something bigger than just that one cause that you thought. That cause becomes something that spreads.
Yeah.
Because everybody,
the impact of it.
The impact of it.
Yeah.
It changes, because then the dynamic is, as a stakeholder, I was just a customer.
Yeah.
Now I want to serve.
Yeah.
I may not be able to work for your company because I love what I do, or I'm in a different industry, but how do I connect?
Yeah.
Right. And then that connection, it's like a web, dude, that just continues to grow within the stakeholders. You think about your suppliers. You're doing good. How do we do good? Right. For me, I put a percentage of all of the things I speak and my book sales, I put that towards the calls.
Yeah.
Right. So people want to be connected with that. I know you do the same as well. There's a cause to that. People want to be able to connect to something that's bigger than just, hey, I'm giving this person money.
Yeah.
Right. I know that they're putting that money, some of that money is going to a cause that's greater than just that speaking engagement.
Something that's bigger than themselves too, you know, like, when you think about building a meaningful workplace, like are we giving people a sense of meaning? If culture is how we feel, believe, and behave most of the time, if we're not curating opportunities and experiences for people to discover meaning and purpose at work, then they're going to feel that work isn't about that.
Yeah.
What's work about?
Yeah.
I think that the cause defines what work's about. That it is about, okay, we do need to make profits. But as we make profits, we have to build on the purpose of why we're making profits in the first place. It's what that I've coined the term purposability. It's profitability driven by purpose and purpose driven by profit, right? That profit's doesn't it can actually be a catalyst for good. It's not something of evil, right? Like greed is evil. Profits can be a force for good. It could be a part of that cause. And to your point, the 4 T's that we teach, your time, talent, treasure, and testimony, given toward a cause, people are going to trust your business more. They're going to trust the leadership more. It's a trust builder. So cause not only like leads toward engagement, it leads toward an ongoing engagement. And the only way you have that is through trust. People don't stay engaged unless you build a culture of trust within your business. Yeah. So cause really leads toward both of those, engagement and trust. And I think, people want to feel valued and appreciated. You talk about that a lot in terms of belonging. It's not just about, do I belong working here, but do I belong doing business with this business, right? Do we have shared values? Do we have shared purpose?
Yeah.
Is there a common reason that we're in this relationship together other than transactional, you do for me and I do for you? Is there something that we do together that impacts others? That goes from having a transactional relationship to having a more transformational relationship. What happens when you're not just another team member that's helping me get projects done, so I help you get your projects done? What happens when you're a team member that we go out and serve together? We go out and give back together. We go out and get dirt under our fingernails to make an impact in the community. Now, all of a sudden, that's transformational. We have a connection that's different than before we wouldn't have had, right? So the cause gives you the opportunity to build an engagement that people can commit to, but it creates that shared vision and shared purpose. And that then translates to the impact, and people feel valued. They feel appreciated. You have other reasons to recognize people's good work, right? So it's not just, Bill and Sally and 2 other people going down to volunteer, but you got a whole team together, and you start building expectations around it. You start saying, all right, this is our cause. And I want to pause for a moment and say this too. Like, some companies, their cause is like the CEO's pet project. It's not, because maybe the CEO has a passion for something specific, and then, he's like, well, we need everybody involved in doing this good. That's not going to, what we want to do is we want to find common reasons to come together, common passion. That's why I love doing causes that everyone, that resonates with most everyone. May not resonate with everybody. An instance of this is, and we'll give a shout out to Jimmy Rayford with Dealers Wholesale. We worked with them a few years ago, and to help identify their cause. And up to that point, I'm sure they had a mission and vision and values and all of those things. But what they discovered is what they did as a business could have a profound impact on the world. And what they did is they supplied fireplaces and security doors to contractors for their buildings. Seems like a business that just needs to focus on fireplaces and security doors, which they do, and they do a really good job at that. I'm sure they have other things as a part of their plethora of services, but what they discovered as going through our Find Your Cause in the 2-day workshop, which again is June 25th and 26th, is that their cause statement that kind of became the force for good within their business is they provide safety, security, and warmth to people. Does it make sense? Safety and security, that's the doors, and warmth, that's the fireplaces. But it can also mean other things. It can mean blankets for the homeless. It could mean going down to a homeless shelter and putting security doors in for them. It could be helping security doors at a local school or a charter school that may not have the funds to do it, right? There's a whole lot in that. So now they have a cause statement that actually is a motivator that everyone can get behind and say, oh, that's why we're coming to work. Not just to sell another fireplace to a contractor. I mean, how passionate can you get about that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because not everybody's passionate about that thing. It may be something that they do because it's a good job.
Yeah, but it's not, it's, it's in terms of meaningful work.
Right.
And there's accountants that are passionate about running Excel files.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Excel sheets are their thing. They're freaking the sheets, man.
Shout out
to all of our accountants out there and finance peeps.
Freaks in the
and they enjoy it.
Yeah.
And they may be passionate about that. Yeah. But we're talking a common cause, common purpose, this idea of a shared vision and a shared reality that we're all working toward to make an impact together. That's what really makes the difference. But yeah, to your point, all stakeholders need to be involved in that. And I think the next thing that when we talk about cause is how adaptive is the company.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like how connected are they? When we think of it being adaptive, it might mean that we're quick to change. But what the cause does is allows us to be adaptive in areas of our business, but what doesn't change is the cause. Mm-hmm. So it allows us to be adaptive, but allows us to continue, like I mentioned earlier, have that North Star. We still have the purpose. We still have a defined shared vision and a shared mission. So while change is happening in the organization, it's going to. We talk about change all the time and how we don't just lead the change on a project side, but we lead the people side of change. Yeah. And when we're leading the people side of change, having that cause galvanizes the team through difficulty. Yeah. Or maybe not through difficulty, just through change in general. Because not every change is, necessarily a bad thing, right?
I think you convinced me that the change is really a reflection of the leadership and how we value it and or perceive it to be, right? Mm-hmm. If we look at change and it's negative, change is going to be negative within the organization. If we look at change as a challenge, man, this change is going to be challenging, then the employees, that's what you're embodying. It goes back to what you embody.
Yeah,
the
you're
employees
focused on it.
They're focused on it. That's what the employees are going to have. So your perception of whatever that change is what the employees are going to see, right? Everything rises and falls on leadership. And so if you're embodying fear, intimidation, lack of motivation towards that change, because here we are again, right? Sometimes as managers and leaders, we embody the stress that we feel above, and we're kind of torn in between, hey, I'm an employee,
right,
and I don't like this change, but here we go again, right?
Yeah.
And then there's some changes like, yes, this is my idea, right?
Yeah.
My ideal change is always the greatest,
right?
Because you understand it, the sense of the root of, you have a little bit more of a connection to that change. With a lot of organizations, and we've seen it, for the last several years, change is happening more adapting, right? Whether it's through acquisition, the mergers, and we're having to change some things, change our philosophy. We're having to add on to our business model,
bring new leaders
to bring in new revenue streams.
True, yeah.
Bringing in new revenue streams mean, hey, how do we bring in stronger leaders? Mm-hmm. How do we get better as we try to get bigger as well, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of bigger and better change mentalities that are going on. And with those things, there has to be a clear communication. You're saying, hey, this cause becomes the focal point of why we're making this change. This change is going to help us, propel us to do and act towards this cause together.
Because if you don't have that, then everything becomes fragmented.
Yeah.
Because through change, people generally move into change and the challenge of change with fear. And so when there's fear, we connect less with each other. When there's fear, we don't speak up when we should or when we need to, for the team's sake or the business's sake. When there's fear around change, it becomes a opportunity for us to either become more solidified as a team or more fragmented.
Right.
The team that gets solidified is a team that understands the commonality of why we do what we do every single day and why we're showing up, and we want to feel that impact. We don't want to just write a check to a charity and say, that's our cause. We want active involvement and participation in the cause, in the doing of good, in the impact that we can have together. And as we're going through change and as we're going through many times tumultuous change, where the entirety of the business is kind of shaken up a little bit, you're like shaking the boat, hoping you don't tip it over, you know, and hoping everybody that's in the boat can kind of like hold on through this. Whereas with a cause, it gives everyone an opportunity to not become fragmented, but to come together around something that creates that stability as you're going through what feels like a very unstable season in the business. You know what I'm saying? People need stability. They need the opportunity to say, all right, there's a lot going on that's different, but we still have this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And for them to feel like they're a part of that change and a part of what's going on. You know, as you have a cause, they feel more a part of the business. They can own that. They can own their efforts. They can own their team's efforts toward that. You know, we've seen companies have departments that compete against each other for how much good they can do based on that cause, you know? So it builds like this camaraderie and competition, but it's around doing good together. And, you know, you would always say, you know, like, we don't want to have to like leave our work and go work for a charity to be charitable. We should be able to go to work and have a sense of purpose right where we're at.
Yeah.
You know, feel something that gives us a sense of passion right there. And that's going to create ultimately a long-term viability and cultural identity for the business, because now people know what they're connecting and engaging with. It becomes a part of your identity. Yeah. I would say ultimately, as we're talking about this, your cause becomes your cultural identity. When we think about TCC and the work that they do and other companies, that's what happens. Yeah. It is your cultural identity.
Yeah. So if you're looking to increase your employee engagement, increase motivation within your team, how do we get that stirred up, and how do we get it not just to be stirred up, but how do we get it to be sustainable and to be able to last, to where it goes beyond just leadership to the team. It goes to the leadership to the team, to the stakeholders that are involved, your community, your clients, your suppliers. And it really becomes a movement within your organization on why, when you go through change and you're going through, some acquisitions or mergers, that cause becomes the core of your why. It becomes the center point of what you come back to and why you're doing it and all those things. And so if you want to know more about this, again, June 25th, 26th, look for more information, culturegood.com, 2-day certification, become certified. This is just a glimpse. This is just part of the many workshops in this 2-day certification that's really going to help you align with what Culture Good is about and how you can do business and have a business as a force for good within your organization as well. And so t-shirt, business for a force of good, promo on the t-shirt as well. So we want to encourage everybody. We're going to be having more. This conversation is going to continue next week. And really want to encourage people to join us. We want to thank everybody that's been a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber, we'll appreciate it if you do so. It helps us as well. Leave a rating, and it benefits us and help us grow our network and reach to be able to connect to more people. We do this. It's not monetary. We do this because we love people and we love to give what we have.
Gives us a sense of common purpose and aligns with our values, you know? And so, I really appreciate everybody jumping on today. And hopefully as you're thinking about the cause of your business and all the good that you do and the impact that you want to have, that you find yourself in a workplace that's supportive toward this. You know, and if you do, you're an example of a leader that we would love, as George said, to have join us on the 25th and 26th. Culturegood.com has all the info on that, as George mentioned. Totally would love to see a packed house for that. And you know, you'll learn a lot. One of the biggest things is what the cause of your business is. So, as always, thanks for joining us. And, I suppose we'll see you back next week
on
Champion Your Culture. Thank you for tuning in to Champion Your Culture. We hope today's episode has sparked new ideas and inspiration for your journey in leadership and cultural development.
Building a culture good is a collective effort. If you found value in conversations today, please subscribe to our podcast. Follow us on your favorite platform and share this episode with your friends and colleagues.
Your support helps us reach more people and spread the message of impactful leadership and positive cultural change. Don't forget to visit cultureofgood.com to explore how you can become a certified culture champion.
Every week, we're here to bring you insights and strategies that matter. So join us again for more empowering discussions. Let's continue to champion a culture of purpose and passion together.
Until next time, keep leading with heart and let's make a positive difference in the world. And we'll see you next week on Champion Your Culture.